Hi friends, this is Yoga Light. Today we're exploring meditation, a topic often surrounded with fuzziness. People often hold notions, unreflected ideas gathered from here and there, and these can cloud one's understanding and appreciation of meditation, obscure its goals, and miss the nuances and rich variety of approaches. There are many types of meditation, not just techniques. While many meditation systems share vast common ground, they are not all the same and do not necessarily lead to the same outcomes. This is further complicated by the fact that the same terms are often used across traditions with different meanings, creating confusion. If you are within a structured meditation teaching, it can be good to witness any sectarianism. There is also a dialogue in some traditions of not accomplishing anything, of already being there, but others look for developmental progress and accomplishing stages. Today we'll differentiate 4 different approaches or types of meditation. The aim isn't to be exhaustive, but rather to broaden our perspective. Ultimately, the most effective meditation is the one you consistently practice, the one that motivates you, the one that truly calls you. But by looking at these 4, it will hopefully broaden your outlook and give you insight and appreciation and the flexibility to see into new avenues of development. With insight, we can say that some approaches may be suited to different types of individuals or stages of development. 2 fundamental elements are always intertwined in meditation: concentration and awareness. Concentration involves intentionally directing your mind to a specific point of focus, such as the breath, and gently returning it whenever it wanders. Awareness, on the other hand, is the faculty that perceives the breath, notices when your mind has been distracted, and guides you back to your point of concentration. The first fuzziness is that meditation often refers to one of 2 things: an inwardly concentrated state and an open, relaxed state. Many people learn meditation just for health benefits and tend towards the idea that meditation is where you slow down and empty your mind. It's a quiet, calm state. The mind is at rest, not a concentrated state. We normally think of concentration as an effort. If you are at work focused on a task, you can tell the quality of your work, one measure being whether you're distracted. When you get home, you don't want to focus on the problem. You want to sit and allow the mind to empty. The focus might be on the breath or a mantra, and you let your mind relax. This does not appear to be concentration, but actually is. You return to the calm state, and you want to keep the mind from wandering off into daydreams or returning to habitual thoughts and concerns, or trying to figure out what you're going to have for dinner. However you get to that calm state, the concentration is about stabilizing it. We want to direct our mind and have it stay there until we consciously, with awareness, direct it elsewhere. The experience may be of settling in and eventually, naturally, coming out. In the tradition that I practice, we refer to the inner flow and the silent witness. The inner flow is whatever is happening in your mind, and the silent witness observes it. The silent witness is not necessarily there from the start. It usually arises by relaxation, slowing things down, and finding a place where the mind can observe itself. The inner flow and silent witness are interwoven. The idea of concentration and being aware go together. The first of the 4 types of meditation is concentration. You have to overcome restlessness in the body, the distractions of the senses, and the habitual thoughts. The mind stays focused on one thing. This can be the breath or sensation, sound, a visualization, a mantra, anything that is conducive for concentration. The instruction is often, when you notice distractions, bring your mind back to the point of focus. Concentration is a skill that can be developed. In some forms of yoga and Buddhism, they are looking for an ability to concentrate for hours, such as 6 to 12 hours of unbroken concentration. Not everyone is able to do this, and there are other approaches. Another version is to remain witnessing the mind 24 hours a day, even during activities, even in sleep, dreaming, and deep dreamless sleep. The high level of concentration can generally have 2 main outcomes. The first is bliss enters. The second is knowledge by identity. Eventually you want to identify with the divine or the absolute. Knowledge by identity is when you are able to enter into the subtle level and you become the object of your concentration. In Patanjali, you move from withdrawal of the senses to concentration, meditation, and varying degrees of absorption. Different interpretations of this exist, but in the withdrawal of the senses, you are not distracted by the outward environment. With concentration, you are bringing your mind back to the point of focus. In meditation, it is stable for long periods without losing contact with the object, and absorption is a state of trance where you enter into the subtle identification of being the object. This type of meditation is about a narrowing of focus. The goal is to fix the mind on a single object. To do this, you have to quiet the mental chatter, but keep the will towards focus. The calm, open state is one side of the interwoven practice. You remove the restlessness in the body, calm the emotions, and quiet the mind. This is the basic concentration. From this comes openings to deeper experiences. This has a characteristic of clarity. Let's differentiate, then, two methods. The first is a resting in awareness. The second is using appearances in the mind to recognize the witness. In the first, you are often using the body, breath, and energy to establish a relaxed state. When the body is relaxed and there is a flowing breath that is smooth, the mind will calm and become focused. The silent witness will arise. This can be an expanded awareness that extends in space. The focus maintains the calmness, and one rests in the awareness, the stillness. In the second method, you look at what is going on in the inner flow as the thoughts arise. You let them go, not judging them or following them, but letting them pass. You are using whatever appears in the mind as the basis for finding and returning to the silent witness. In either case, it is not necessarily that the mind is really quiet. There are levels of quietness leading to stillness, silence, and the immobility of the consciousness. But the awareness is there. You are aware of the thoughts, not in them. It can be quite profound to experience the space between the thoughts, a true silence. The two approaches can appear to be the same, but in practice they differ. People's ability to relax varies greatly. You can be trained and conditioned to relax, but there are many factors. If you have a lot of negativity in your mind, painful feelings, then relaxing into awareness may not work very well. Relaxation leads to sensitivity, and things become more painful. You are probably better off to notice the thoughts appearing and let them go or reject them. Swipe left the negative suggestion. Relaxation can also bring up the desire and enjoyment energies. This can lead you astray also. It depends on the person. If you have supporting practices such as breath work and physical movements, the relaxation approach may be greatly benefited. The metaphysical framework surrounding your meditation practice, the underlying ideas you hold, significantly shapes your approach. For example, whether your focus is on the nature of impermanence and change, the pursuit of profound silence, or the conviction that a deeper reality exists beyond the surface dramas of the self, these perspectives will naturally resonate more with certain meditative paths than others. When you reject things, when you notice a distraction, you can simply label the thought and not follow it or analyze it, not enter into the drama, and return your mind to the object of meditation. Sometimes there is a notion that there is no object or intention in meditation, not even the intention to meditate. This is true for some traditions, but hardly all. Having the intention to relax and expand the awareness or direct the mind to stay focused and awake are all used in meditation. There can be confusion over the word used to describe it. There also can be a lack of differentiation between intention and thought. Intention is a quality of pure consciousness, just as knowledge and bliss are in yoga. It is will force. If you have a lot of negativity in the mind and are used to making moral judgments of your own thoughts and then feeling ashamed or guilty or other painful feelings, then it may be a helpful instruction to remove this kind of judgment. But if insight arises, you need to see the difference between that and the normal chatter and be able to make a decision to reject or sanction it. There is also aspiration and even meditations where you rest in a constant flow of love for the divine. There are many kinds of meditation. Sometimes consciousness and awareness are used interchangeably. When you add in dialogues about consciousness and physics, it can be even more confusing. What is being talked about in science in terms of consciousness and awareness, often the terms are used interchangeably, is not related to spiritual approaches. In Buddhism, consciousness can refer to the ego, with awareness being something more fundamental. In yoga, consciousness is being, the most fundamental aspect. All creation is a form of consciousness, and awareness is a power of the consciousness. In Western philosophy, you might use the definition put forward by Thomas Nagel. There is something that it is like to be that organism. What is it like to be a giraffe? Taking an object of concentration is fundamental. Often one has to find a quiet, non-distracting space. This is why, for instance, someone wearing headphones and using ambient music or sounds or binaural beats as the object of meditation may work quite well to establish a calm space. Whether one is resting in awareness or using appearances to recognize the witness, the fundamental basis is really concentration. The second type of meditation is mind watching. The basic idea is to focus on an object of concentration, for instance, the breath. Start by doing this a minute. At the end of the minute, you actively remember and describe everything that happened in your mind. If you thought, noticed a sensation, a feeling, drama, remembered something, moved your mind back to the breath, whatever it was, you can write this down, which I recommend in the beginning. You can also do it out loud or just reflect. A lot happens in a minute. One of the things that people report when they start meditating is that their mind doesn't get quiet. It seems to get busier. This is usually because they are unaware of all the things that are going on in the mind. When we are young, you can get into these conversations that last a long time and take you to very strange places. Sometimes you even have to retrace the flow of ideas to discover how you got there. That is a form of mind watching. Increase the time of practice. You can also change your object of focus. Try different senses. For instance, you can gaze at an object like the coils of smoke coming off incense. Try different colored sheets of paper or lights. Or listen to sound. Eventually anything can be used, an episode of a TV show, anything, and you see what happened during the period of focus. This gets you ready for the real world. In situations at work or socially, you will become much more aware. It gives a deeper insight into how your mind works and is useful in discovering the different layers of the being and ranges of subtlety. The point of this kind of meditation is not necessarily to become quiet, but to move to a higher definition. To go from HD to 4K, even 8K, it enlarges the screen of the mind. The third type of meditation is analytical meditation. Sometimes this is called contemplation. There are different states of mind and different resources you access. There is a passive and an active form. In meditation, when you get to that quiet state where you are free from distractions and focused, one experiences having knowledge arise. You can, for instance, introduce a word or idea into silence and see what responds. This is valuable to do with Sanskrit, but also your native language. It is possible to understand words without having any knowledge or physical reference in this way. When you have intuitive discernment, you see the difference between your subconscious associations and something come from a deeper or higher source. This higher source is insight. Higher knowledge comes in different forms. You can have a sudden understanding or have a stream of inspired thought, sometimes accompanied by light and elation, or a whole vision in comprehensive detail as a revelation. These can be difficult to put in words or to retain at first. We often will seize the intuition and put it into a mental context we are familiar with. The power to remain quiet and stable and allow the fullness of the experience to play out is fundamental. These knowledge states can emerge in abiding silence, or you can move from concentration through to deeper layers. In the tradition that I follow, if you are sitting in meditation, you don't reject all thoughts. If you come up with a cure for cancer, you follow that. I have encountered people who had insight experiences and they kept trying to reject them, like the minister trapped on the roof of his house during a flood, asking God to save him and telling the helicopter and passing boats that he didn't need them. God will save me. Then as he is washed away, he asks God, why did you abandon me? To which the reply was, what? I sent you a helicopter and a boat. So this can seem contradictory, as you are told not to judge the thoughts in meditation, but there are thoughts on topic and distractions, and you have to make a distinction. Of course, you have to sense what is really insight, and that can only be done with practice. There are all sorts of states where elation and insight come, but when you return from the peak, the ego seizes the insight and makes it into something grand, something where you are suddenly important, that your insight will change science if only people will listen. There are many variations on this. Another is that you reach some peak and you think you will never be the same, that the personality you once were is gone forever, only to find out that the old self returns in a few hours or days. The ego wants some decisive drama, something big and wide and amazing. It wants a call to adventure. I've been there, done that, and also had powerful experiences that really were vast and life-changing, but that was obvious and didn't need a blare of trumpets. You can also have a powerful experience, and when you come back, the ego resists the change and you become cynical and negative. I have had people who sought me out to explain what happened to them, but they can't hear me because the explanation doesn't recapture the experience. They don't realize they are not in the same state as the experience itself, so it all seems pallid and unconnected. This is a temporary stage, and why there is an emphasis made by many traditions of purification of our motives, and that's part of the foundational practice. If you have old unresolved issues, there can be inward pressure to change that forces these up to the surface. It all comes to a head and is quite painful and difficult. It also helps to have some sort of framework to situate these experiences, a way of relating to them. If you are only seeking to escape to an eternal, unchanging state, then it might make sense to reject things coming into your mind. But if you accept that there is both a static and dynamic divine, not an illusionary mistake of creation, then things come with a connection to the divine will, and come for our benefit and progress, even when we go astray. At the same time, there is a great immobility within the being, a perfect stillness, silence, and peace, eternal. We need to keep our habitual, egoistic consciousness out of the way. The passive type is where the insight naturally arises. It happens in the silence, spaces between the thoughts. So you have to obtain a steady, concentrated quietness. You make a leap, or the higher consciousness descends and takes up the thought process. This can be focused by introducing an idea or word or image into the silence. So in some traditions, simply observing and not becoming attached to what appears will give you insight, not only to the constant change, but also to the naturally arising movement of nature. The second type is where you put your mind on an object of thought. For instance, you can focus on a key idea such as equality or spiritual evolution, and you allow the thoughts in that deal with the subject, and reject the others, even the habitual thoughts on the subject. There can be wider forces acting on some ideas. One is the larger truth of being that is being expressed in the world. For instance, if you contemplate spiritual evolution, this deals with the progress of the soul through incarnations, but other thought powers may enter and you get debates over Darwin and the Bible. The silent witness, when established, can reject thoughts or sanction them. It has a direct connection to the divine. It knows the difference between the quality, intention, and what is needed. This assumes that for the most part you already have a degree of focus and have withdrawn from distractions. This is similar to any kind of concentrated thought, such as for work or a school paper, except you go deeper. Eventually the mind exhausts what you know, and something beyond responds and gets through. This has several effects. One is the concentration practice, the second is the knowledge, and the third is the world also responds over time. For instance, if you were to choose to focus on a chakra, visualizing it and feeling it in the subtle body, or having just placed your intention there, over time you will begin to exhaust all that you have read or been told. All the associations will come through. memories of that area in the body, and then you will start to have insight. Probably not just in one sitting, but as you go about the other parts of your life, experiences can happen that shed light on your meditation. Focusing on life patterns or themes can reveal past lives in this way. In some traditions, they wait for insight. In others, they also contemplate the understanding of the insight sought by the practice. So there is an analytical meditation that makes a leap and a type that leaps from the bridge of reasoning. Who am I? A metaphysical structure can be helpful. Meditation can be done for health, but in a spiritual context, there is an underlying idea of it leading to freedom. This awakening, a sense that there is something more than just the world as it appears to our senses, and our sense of self derived from our conditioning and predilections, underlies all spiritual pursuit. Yoga begins when there is a connection, and it is not simply a mental understanding such as the latest science validating the health benefits. Awakening will lead to different experiences. For instance, you can relax and lie on the beach in the sun, but it is not really meditation, it is relaxation. You can also relax, become very meditatively quiet while doing some forms of Tai Chi, but it doesn't necessarily lead anywhere but deeper into things like alignment, because that is the overarching idea. The perspective has to be widened and the aspiration made clear. If the aspiration is there, even if the idea isn't very clear, then the beach may become a meditation. You can add in other understandings. Lying on the beach, the posture is a factor due to the flow of energy. The same is true in Tai Chi, where the energy has a lower center. The fourth type of meditation is aspiration. Some might use the term seeking. This is where you open yourself to the higher consciousness, or the divine, and allow the deepest part of your being that is already seeking, already knows the divine, to come through. One surrenders and offers what one is and patiently awaits a response. What is offered includes negative emotions, desires, wrong movements, as well as our positive ones. This uses silence, inner dialogues, and dramas, but adds an expansiveness, a receptivity. Instead of focusing on stillness, it focuses on openness. A deep, sincere longing for the divine touch or to know the truth, to obtain peace, will be answered. Offering the negative and positive movements of our mind and heart to the influence of the truth will change them. Clarity, peace, and delight will arise. It's focusing the will in the heart and the mind, not in desire, but a deeper inner recognition. It's a call. I differentiate this from prayer, they overlap, because prayer is often mixed with religious notions. People often pray within the confines of their dramas. God is kept at a distance through fear. The focus is on social order. Aspiration is often accompanied with love. You sit and love the divine, or with sincerity and gratitude from a place of humility. This is combined with the practice of giving oneself and offering our time, energy, our being for the divine progress within us, allowing the higher consciousness to come to the fore and to work for the higher consciousness, not towards the ego's ambitions and desires and the world we are conditioned to. Our higher nature takes over and transforms our lower one. Deep within is the spark of the divine. It's the soul that is our initial awakening and aspiration. This is part of ourself that recognizes there is something more. That sense of something more, of a greater reality than appearances, can be cultivated. Brought more and more to the front of our thoughts and feelings, it can be given space and action and growth. We can feed it as a flame. This requires powerful concentration. If you got something out of this video, please hit the like and subscribe. Till next time.